Ariel Helwani at Harry Carey's in Chicago, Illinois, after the Strikeforce pre-fight press conference, and we're joined by Strikeforce CEO Scott Coker. And Scott, thank you for the time. It's interesting. A little less than 2 years ago, you were here, not in this exact location, but in Chicago for Fedor versus Rogers.
Right.
It feels a little different this time around, wouldn't you say?
You know what? I think that anytime Fedor fights and Dan fights, you have two legends in the sport, and I think he has that big fight feel. And with Brett, we were on CBS, so it was a much different experience being over at CBS, and having that experience was great. But I feel like this is a fight that the fans are really going to want to watch.
I guess I was more referring to the Strikeforce situation with the ownership and whatnot.
Oh no, you know what? I mean, I tell you, if you look around, we have a lot more health than we used to have. That's for sure, right? So these guys deserve that marketing and that PR support and all the help that we're getting. So, it's been a great transition, and to me, it's something that is going to be good for mixed martial arts in the long run.
Would you say that Fedor versus Henderson is the biggest fight, not only in Strikeforce history, but in Showtime MMA history, since they've been, televising the sport back in the Elite XC days?
So, are you saying this is the biggggest fight that they've had?
Would you say? I'm asking if you agree with that.
I'll tell you, that's actually a good question, and I think that it had to be right up there. I mean, to me, we've had some pretty sizable fights, and even the last tournament, when we started the tournament in February, it did really well on Showtime. I think it broke all the records, and hopefully we'll break those records on this show. So this fight card, I think top to bottom, arguably is one of the best fight cards we've ever put together, if not the best fight card, top to bottom, we've ever put together.
We were talking off camera about Fedor, and obviously he's coming off 2 straight losses, but he seems to be in better shape. He seems very focused. He seems, in a way, and I hate to say it like this, but the old Fedor. Would you agree with that? Have you had time to sit and chat with him?
No, I haven't yet, but I can tell you he looks in really good shape, and I think that everything I've heard is that he's really hungry, and he's been training really hard for this fight. Went back with his brother and trained with Alexander. But I think he understands the ramifications of what happens here. The outcome of this fight is going to be pivotal for his career. Doesn't hurt his legacy, one bit. I think if he loses or wins, because he's already a legend in the sport. But I think this is a pivotal moment in the history of Fedor, and I think you're going to see an amazing fight.
There has been some talk that the loser of this fight is out of Strikeforce. Is that accurate?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, that's something that we haven't been determined yet. So, I just look forward to seeing this matchup, because, as you know, styles make fights, and when these guys get into the cage, these aren't two fighters that have to go look for each other. I believe they're going to go right to the center of the cage, and they're going to start swinging for the fences, and it's going to be exciting.
It's a historic fight because obviously no one in a million years would have ever thought that Zuffa and M1, in a sense, would end up co-promoting under the Strikeforce banner. I mean, it's very bizarre. How many cooks are in this kitchen, so to speak? Like, how difficult was it to actually put this fight together because of the dynamic of that relationship?
I tell you, actually, it was simple. Dan called me and said, "Look, I want to fight Fedor," and I said, "Let's do it." So I called up, Steve Ash, and I said, "Steve, is this a fight Fedor would be interested in?" Fedor said, "Yeah, absolutely. It'd be an honor to fight him," and that's how this fight got put together. But it wasn't. They weren't looking for each. I mean, dancing around, and it was probably put together in a couple of days. Top to bottom, and I think it's also historical in the sense that I think this is the first women's title fight under the Zuffa banner, and we're proud to to host this female fight. I think that Marlis Kuhn and Misha Tate's going to be a great matchup. And show where women's MMA should be on a platform, on a fighting co-main event, on a big fight card like this.
Dan told us earlier this month that this is the last fight on his Strikeforce contract. Do you think he's going to stick around with Strikeforce after this fight, or maybe sign with UFC or somewhere else?
Yeah, I think that we'll negotiations, you never know how they go, but our goal definitely is to keep Dan in Strikeforce. I think we have a lot of good fights for him in the future, and he's a guy that could bounce around from 185 up to fight heavyweight, and not just a heavyweight. He's fighting, one of the best guys on the planet of all time. So I got to give it to Dan. I mean, I've always called him the John Wayne of MMA, and this guy is a tough guy. So it's going to be fireworks.
How many fights are left on the Fedor deal, M1 and Strikeforce?
You know what? I can't really get into the details of that, but hopefully everything works out. We can have Fedor around for a long time, and if you look at him now, he doesn't look like a fighter that has one fight left in him, and he's going to head to the off into the sunset. I think he's going to want to keep fighting because he looks in amazing shape.
Is there any chance, in your opinion, that if Fedor wins this fight, because of the fact that Zuffa now owns Strikeforce, that Zuffa might sit down with M1 again and try to bring him to the UFC?
I mean, that's something you have to ask Lorenzo and Dana, and let's see what happens on Saturday night. To me, it's all about enjoying Saturday night, and and like I said, the top to bottom. I mean, Robbie versus Tim. Tim Kennedy is no joke. Robbie Lawler, if he hits you, he's going to knock you out. Tyron Woodley and Paul Daly. I mean, these are all fight. It's almost like I felt bad for these guys because they're up here on any other circumstances. They would be getting a lot of questions, but with Fedor and Dan here, it's the Fedor and Dan show right now.
Right. You mentioned the women's title fight. First things first, where was Marloes Kunin today?
I'm not sure, but we definitely will find out. And
try to find her. She's an important part of this card.
No, I heard that she was running late or something, a makeup issue or a wardrobe malfunction or something like that. I'm not
nothing
really
serious though.
Oh no, nothing serious. Yeah, it was a breakfast issue or something. I'm not sure. I didn't. I got half the story.
Okay, but you did mention how big that fight is, and I asked Misha this question. I'll ask you this question. Okay. Do you feel as though this fight is more important in a sense than Gina versus Cyborg because it's right below this historic fight between Fedor and Henderson? A lot of people are tuning in to see that fight, and they're kind of the appetizer, so to speak. So a lot of people might be tuning into women's MMA for the first time on Saturday night.
I think that the being under the Zuffa umbrella and having the title fight, I think that's historic. And but I think you can't take away what the Carano Cyborg fight. That fight had amazing amount of heat behind it going into that fight. I'm not sure if you remember, but cover of USA Today. Gina's on the cover of USA Today, and we had every major newspaper or TV station covering it, and all the online. I mean, there was a tremendous, and it was a main event. It was the first time a female main event fight on Showtime ever in the history of Showtime for female MMA. So. I think this fight is different and special in its own way, but I don't think you can take away from the Carano Cyborg fight either. So, to me, if you were to say, would Zuffa be promoting like you said, a pre-sale, would be promoting a female MMA fight as a co-main event under Fedor Hendo? I said that would never happen, right? But here we are, and we look forward to them, having a great fight.
Two big welterweight fights on the card as well. You mentioned Daly, Woodley, Safadine, yep. Scott Smith. What is the state of the title situation in Strikeforce? Are you going to crown a champion, perhaps one of these guys fighting for the title in the future?
We're definitely going to take a strong look at these set of fights, and there is a dialogue internally about how we're going to tee that up. And that's something that we're just not ready to announce yet, and we'll probably have something maybe in a month or so.
Do you think you'll do a tournament or just do a vacant title fight?
I mean, you're really good, but I really can't answer that.
And just wondering also a few other pieces of news that have happened regarding Strikeforce, and I'm sure I was going to ask about this. Alistair Overeem having to remove himself from the tournament, I guess is the correct term. Now we just got word that he is fighting on a Glory World Series show in October. He didn't want to fight in September. He was told. He said that you told him that the fight was going to happen in October. Now it's September 10th. That whole situation, what is your take on that? Because we haven't heard you really talk about it.
Here's the thing: is that September 10th is the date, and after much dialogue with Showtime and Zuffa, and that was the date. And once the date was set, that was it. And to me, it's very simple. Alistair is hurt right now; he can't fight. So, we had to move on. But believe me. We've been really good to Alistair. We've been very patient with Alistair, and it just didn't work out. So, to me, if we could have took this fight into October or November, we definitely would have done it. So, we have other partners with Showtime and Zuffa, and they have other fights that they're throwing. And there's Pacquiao fights and Mayweather fights, and a lot of the World Series is going on in October. There's so much activity in the months of October and November, we just couldn't put it together. So we made a decision, and we have to move forward on September 10th. And do I wish he was in the tournament? Yeah, I mean he's Alistair's a friend, and I wish he was here, but he's not. And this is how the fight business goes. I mean, how many injuries in mixed martial arts in the last 6 months? It just seems like every other day you're reading about somebody getting injured, and to me it's that simple. He's injured. He can't fight on the 10th. That's the date, and we're moving forward.
Will he fight for Strikeforce again?
I mean, that's going to be something that we're going to sit down with Boss and have a conversation.
And just wondering about your take on the tournament now, because you were so excited about it just a few months ago. Obviously, he's out. Fedor lost. Verdum lost, of course, to Overeem, and it's just. it doesn't seem to have the same kind of buzz surrounding it as it once did. What's your take on how it unfolded?
It's not pro wrestling, so we have to have real fights. I mean, if Fedor was still in the tournament, sure, it would have been great. But you know what? Bigfoot beat him, so that's just how it goes. And that's the beauty of the tournament is new stars will be built. And I think that's how Fedor became a superstar, was winning those Pride tournaments, right? And I think that same thing with Alistair, winning the K-1. I mean, when you have tournaments, new stars will rise, and to me, I'm excited. September 10th, it's going to be a great fight in Cincinnati, and the Josh Barnett fight with Sergey Karatanov, that's going to be a really interesting fight, and to me, that's going to be a toss-up. So, we're going to see how the outcome of those fights happen, and then we'll move forward from there.
Okay, just want to end on two last things. You've given us a lot of your time. Any update on Gina Carano, when she might return?
No, but I'm hoping for the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Is she feeling better?
Yes, she's feeling better.
Are you able to tell us what exactly happened?
You know what? We don't have all the details still, honestly, and I would say that a lot of that's private information because it's a health issue. But she's feeling much better, and I've been hearing from her management that she might even go into training camp in the next 10 days or so.
Okay, and final thing, I don't know if you know about this because you've been traveling, but K-1 was sold today, or at least it was announced that it was sold to a real estate firm by the name of Barbizon. And you knew about this, obviously. What's your take on that and the future of K-1, given your ties to them in the past?
Well, you know what? I tell you, it's the greatest stand-up fight league in the world, and I know Mr. Ishii for 10 years now, and so. If this company can help it and get it back on its feet in Japan, it'd be fantastic. Because, like I said, in January, it was weird not having a K-1 schedule for the first time in 18 years. And I think that K-1 is good for the martial arts community in Japan and different parts of the world. And it's been a lot of fun to watch, and I had a great time working for them. So hopefully they get back on the feet and grow it, because it deserves to be back on its feet, because it's an amazing fight league, and the talent that came out of K-1, watching all those great fights like Peter Art's fighting Jerome LeBanner in 2000, 2001, and Ernesto Hoost in his prime, and it's just those guys are special guys at that moment in time, and hopefully they can rebuild it.
All right, that does it for us here. Strikeforce Fedor versus Henderson goes down Saturday night live from the Sears Center in Hoffman Estates, Illinois, just an hour or so outside of Chicago. Thank you for the time, Scott. Thanks, and enjoy the show on Saturday.
Thank you. Oh, it's going to be fun.